But the intention, I'm not sure, is to criminalize it. It's just, look, if you're owing, you're owing. And so if they give you the timeline to pay, you don't pay, your name falls under that list of debtors.
Exactly, if you are owing them. That's a situation where we are not owing the bank, and I'm not owing the bank. And we're
looking at a broad picture.
Yeah, the whole picture,
for those who are owing.
Somehow it should have some effect. So I'm sure some people have even gone to pay by now, particularly during the time they were, campaigning that people's debtors' name will be published. I'm sure they must have generated some money. A number of people still hold their names. They don't want that kind of toga on their neck. That's all. It's a debtor. So somehow it might work.
Does the Senate Committee or House of Reps Committee invite banks or people for this kind of matters?
Oh yes, oh yes. Part of I will report them to the National Assembly as well, because it's not. It's unethical.
But Senator, you know, let us face this. The bank did not publish your name as someone who was owing. I'm trying to, I'm assuming, you're laughing, but let us assume that we're in a court of law right now.
Yes.
The bank published its list of debtors.
Yes.
It published the name of a company.
Yes, I said the directors.
Exactly.
And I put my picture.
No,
I put the picture of
so the bank did not put your picture. The bank did not put pictures beside its publication.
Exactly.
The bank only published the names of the debtors,
exactly,
which happens to be a company that you once were a director in.
Exactly.
And
that is
it
why
also published the names of the directors.
Yeah, that's why Punch is involved.
So isn't this about more about the media than about the CBN or the bank itself?
No, even for the bank to put the name of International Payment Device as a debtor,
yes,
ab initio is wrong, because the company does not owe the bank.
The question
is the bank that owes the company.
Well, there was, I mean, that misunderstanding between yourself and, I beg your pardon, between the company and Unity Bank will definitely be sorted out. But it was in that somebody must bear responsibility for the fact that that transaction was never seen to the end. Because it is...
Yes, because you can't even force a bank to pay you money. You can't carry a gun to the head and say to the bank, you must pay me my money. It's just like when government owes you. What do you do?
So, but the least that you ought to have been able to do, or your company ought to have been able to do, is to ensure that at least the debt was cancelled. So nobody saw that transaction through. Will you put that on the bank, or you put that on the company?
No, certainly it is the bank, because consistently, Tom told me he had to travel from Lagos to Abuja on these transactions, and understand the fact that he was chasing a debt of about 6 to 7 million naira, depending on the agreement, the interest rate. Now, it's assumed that you understand your responsibility as a bank. You gave a purchase order to a company. The company supplied you the goods. And somehow, because you changed your mind about the model, you bought another model, it does not exonerate you from paying your debt. So, you see, the issue of sorting this out with the bank is a different issue. We'll sort it out in the court.
Yeah, so let's look at this is just one of the policies that the CBN trying to ensure that things work properly. But let's look at the other policy that they brought up, which happens to be the Forex restriction and Forex deposit in banks. I mean, that's your sector while you were in Senate Committee.
Yes, incidentally, I don't know what effect of this policy on the Forex will be. Because right now, today, I understand that the dollar rate has started climbing back up again. And if there is scarcity at any point in time, it's just simple law of supply and demand. If you say people should not put money, dollars, they should not accept it in the banks, then that means that the only people who will be buying, or expectedly, I don't think buying dollars will be those traveling who can take a limit of 5,000 or 10,000, as the case may be. Now, the money that people have stacked in their homes will be there. So I don't see how, on the long run, because the whole effect, unless we're able to impress the US government to change maybe security and put a time limit to the dollar, then when people see that their money is going to go to waste, if it were a local currency, the president could easily have done that, to change the currency overnight and allow those who have stacked a lot of money, those, on this speculation, they can go bust in terms of, they can even go bankrupt if they don't bring the money out. Now, I don't see the long-term effect. I think initially it had a desired effect within a week. That, okay, if I can't put my money in the bank, I better quickly sell it. So those who sold actually sold in anticipation of the currency falling. But now, if it's going back on, then that means scarcities has hit the market. So they need to look at it. I think these are fire brigade approaches. The whole problem is about our manufacturing base. You see, we cannot continue to rely on oil. This country must begin to export. If we don't have things that we produce to export, the pressure will always be on our money. And we have this taste for foreign goods. So some of the policies are okay, banning a few stuff. But it must, if we want to go all the way, we must ensure that we support the local industries to grow. The power is a major issue. Once the power is fixed and people can go into production and manufacturing, I think we'll begin to see a better effect, in terms of the exchange rate.
That's also part of the big picture, but they also say that part of the reason why that policy came through was because our name, the country, was published as one of the top 10 countries where illicit funds go through, and so CBN also trying to pull a leash on that and ensure that, look, this doesn't happen in the system. So those who may be laundering money through the system, they're planning to check it.
Well, I don't see how they'll be able to check it by not allowing them to put it in the bank. If they put the money in the bank, you can begin to ask people questions. How did you get this money? So if you don't see the money, how would you accuse a person of money laundering if the man is keeping the money in his bedroom? If you allow him to put the money in the bank, and you now ask him, how did you get this money? Let people account for their money. If, for example, tomorrow I wake up, I go to the bank and put maybe $100 million. It's a legitimate question. How did you find this money, Senator? Is the job of a senator that lucrative? Or you have been collecting bribe? Or, they can begin to ask questions on those funds. If they don't see the money, I don't see how they will be able to ask questions. But again, it's a very difficult situation. People are just sitting down looking at how best, to handle and tackle the problem that we are faced with. If we are called a nation of money launderers, then you must see the money in the bank before the money can be laundered. So when the money is in the bank, you can ask those people, how did you get this money? If you put cash, I understand the maximum you can put a day was $10,000 cash. If I begin to repeat $10,000 every day, you must be able to ask me, what business do I do in dollars that is generating so much money on a daily basis? So there are so many ways you can approach this.